Prologue. The windows of my house trembled from the power of thunder rolling across the skies. Lightning strikes in the distance, illuminating the night. In the small moment, the few seconds of blinding light showcases the man standing outside my window, watching me, always watching me. I go through the motions, just like I always do. My heart skips a beat, then palpitates. My breathing turns shallow, and my hands grow clammy. Doesn't matter how many times I see him, he always pulls the same reaction out of me: fear and excitement. I don't know why it excites me. Something must be wrong with me. It's not normal for liquid heat to course through my veins, leaving tingles burning in its wake. It's not common for my mind to start wondering about things I shouldn't. Can he see me now, wearing nothing but a thin tank top, my nipples poking through the material, or the shorts I'm wearing that barely cover my ass? Does he like the view? Of course he does. That's why he's watching me, isn't it? That's why he comes back every night, growing bolder with his leering while I silently challenge him, hoping he'll come closer, so I have a reason to put a knife to his throat. The truth is, I'm scared of him. Terrified, actually. But the man standing outside my window makes me feel like I'm sitting in a dark room, a single light shining from the television where a horror flick plays on the screen. It's petrifying, and all I want to do is hide, but there's a distinct part of me that keeps me still, bearing myself to the horror, that finds a small thrill out of it. It's dark again, and the lightning strikes in areas further away. My breathing continues to escalate. I can't see him, but he can see me. Ripping my eyes away from the window, I turn to look behind me in the darkened house, paranoid that he's somehow found a way inside. No matter how deep the shadows go in Parsons Manor, the black and white checkered floors always seem visible. I inherited this house from my grandparents. My great-grandparents had built the three-story Victorian home back in the early 1940s through blood, sweat, and tears and the lives of 5 construction workers. Legend says, or rather Nana says, that the house caught fire and killed the construction workers during the building structure phase. I haven't been able to find any news articles on the unfortunate event, but the souls that haunt the manor reek of despair. And I always told grandiose stories that wrung eye rolls from my parents. Mom never believed anything Nana said, but I think she just didn't want to. Sometimes I hear footsteps at night. They could be from the ghosts of the workers who died in the tragic fire 8 years ago, or they could be from the shadow that stands outside my house, watching me, always watching me. Chapter 1: The Manipulator. Sometimes I have a very dark thoughts about my mother, though no sane daughter should ever have. Sometimes I'm not always sane. Addie, you're being ridiculous, Mom says through the speaker on my phone. I glare at it in response, refusing to argue with her. When I have nothing to say, she sighs loudly. I wrinkle my nose. It blows my mind that this woman always calls Nana dramatic, yet can't see her own flair to the dramatics. Just because your grandparents gave you the house doesn't mean you actually have to live in it. It's old and would be doing everyone in that city a favor if it were torn down. I thump my head against the headrest, rolling my eyes upwards and trying to find patience weaved into the stained roof of my car. How did I manage to get ketchup up there? And just because you don't like it doesn't mean I can't live in it, I retort dryly. My mother is a bitch, plain and simple. She's always had a chip on her shoulder, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why. You'd be living an hour from us. That'd be incredibly inconvenient for you to come visit us, won't it? Oh, how will I ever survive? Pretty sure my Gynecologist is an hour away too, but I still make an effort to see her once a year. Those visits are far more painful. Nope, I reply, popping the pea. I'm over this conversation. My patience only lasted an entire 60 seconds talking to my mother. After that, I'm running on fumes and have no desire to put in any more effort to keep the conversation moving along. If it's not one thing, it's the other. She always manages to find something to complain about. This time it's my choice to live in the house my grandparents gave to me. I grew up in Parsons Manor, running alongside the ghosts in the halls and baking cookies with Nana. I have fond memories here, memories I refuse to let go just because Mom didn't get along with Nana. I never understood the tension between them, but as I got older and started to comprehend Mom's snarkiness and underhanded insults for what they were, it made sense. Nana always had a positive, sunny outlook on life, viewing the world through rose-colored glass. She was always smiling and humming, while Mom is cursed with a perpetual scowl on her face, and looking at life like her glasses got smashed when she plunged out of Nana's vagina. I don't know why her personality never developed past that of a porcupine. She was never raised to be a prickly bitch. Growing up, my mom and dad had a house only a mile away from Parsons Manor. She could barely tolerate me, so I spent most of my childhood in this house. It wasn't until I left for college that mom moved out of town an hour away. When I quit college, I moved in with her until I got back on my feet and my writing career took off. And when it did, I decided to travel around the country, never really settling in one place. Nana died about a year ago, gifting me the house in her will, but my grief hindered me from moving into Parsons Manor until now. Mom sighed again through the phone. I just wish you had more ambition in life, instead of staying in the town you grew up in, sweetie. Do something more with your life than waste away in the house like your grandmother did. I don't want you to become worthless like her. Snarl overtakes my face, fury tearing through my chest. Hey, Mom? Yes? Fuck off. I hang up the phone angrily, smashing my fingers into the screen until I hear the telltale chime that the call has ended. How dare she speak of her own mother that way when she was nothing but loved and cherished? And I certainly didn't treat her the way she treats me, that's for damn sure. I rip a page from Mom's book and let loose a melodramatic sigh, turning to the look outside my window. Said house stands tall, the tip of the black roof spearing through the gloomy clouds and looming over the vastly wooded area, as if to say, "You shall fear me." Peering over my shoulder, the dense thicket of trees are no more inviting, their shadows crawling from the overgrowth with outstretched claws. I shiver, delighting in the ominous feeling radiating from the small portion of the cliff. It looks exactly as it did from my childhood, and it gives me no less of a thrill to peer into the infinite blackness. Parsons Manor is stationed on a cliffside overlooking the bay with a mile-long drive stretching through a heavily wooded area. The congregation of trees separates the house from the rest of the world, making you feel like you're well and truly alone. Sometimes it feels like you're on an entirely different planet, ostracized from civilization. The whole area has a menacing, sorrowful aura, and I fucking love it. The house has begun to decay, but it can be fixed up to look like new again with a bit of TLC. Hundreds of vines crawl all sides of the structure, climbing towards the gargoyle station on the roof of either side of the manor. The black siding is fading to a grey and starting to peel away, and the black paint around the windows is chipping like cheap nail polish. I'll have to hire someone to give the large front porch a facelift since it's starting to sag on one side. The lawn is long overdue for a haircut, the blades of grass nearly as tall as me, the 3 acres of clearing bursting with weeds. I bet plenty of snakes have settled in nicely since it's last been mowed. Nana used to offset the manor's darkness with blooms of colorful flowers during the spring season. Primroses, violas, and rhododendrons. And in autumn, sunflowers would be crawling up the side of the house. the bright yellows and oranges in the petals, a beautiful contrast against the black siding. I can plant a garden around the front of the house again when the season calls for it. This time I'll plant strawberries, lettuce, and herbs as well. I'm deep in my musings when my eyes snag on movement from above. Curtains flutter in the lone window at the very top of the house, the attic. Last time I checked, there's no central air up there. Nothing should be able to move those curtains, but yet I doubt what I saw. I don't doubt what I saw. Coupled with the looming storm in the background, Parsons Manor looks like a scene out of a horror film. I suck my bottom lip between my teeth, unable to stop the smile from forming on my face. I love that. I can't explain why, but I do. Fuck what my mother says. I'm living here. I'm a successful writer and have the freedom to live anywhere. So what if I decide to live in a place that means a lot to me? That does make me a lowlife for staying in my hometown. I travel enough with book tours and conferences. Settling down in a house won't change that. I know what the fuck I want, and I don't give a shit what anyone else thinks about it. Especially mommy dearest. The clouds yawn and rain spills from their mouths. I grab my purse and step out of the car, inhaling the scent of fresh rain. It turns from a light sprinkle to a torrential downpour in a matter of seconds. I bolt up the front porch steps, flinging drops of water off my arms and shaking my body out like a wet dog. I love storms. I just don't like to be in them. I prefer to cuddle up under the blankets with a mug of tea and a book while listening to the rain fall. I slide the key into the lock and turn it, but it's stuck, refusing to give me even a millimeter. I jimmy the key, wrestling with it until the mechanism finally turns and I'm able to unlock the door. Guess I'm gonna have to fix that soon too. Trilling draft welcomes as I open the door. I shiver from the mixture of freezing rain still wet on my skin and the cold, stale air. The interior of my house is cast in shadows. Dim lights shine through the windows, gradually fading as the sun disappears behind grey storm clouds. I feel as if I should start my story with "It was a dark, stormy night." I look up and smile when I see the black ribbed ceiling made up of hundreds of thin, long pieces of wood. A grand chandelier is hanging over my head, gold and steel warped in an intricate design with crystals dangling from the tips. It's always been Nana's most prized possession. The black and white checkered floors lead directly to the black grand staircase, large enough to fit a piano through sideways, and flow off into the living room. My boots squeak against the tiles as I venture further inside. This floor is primarily an open concept, making it feel like a monstrosity of the home could swallow you whole. The living area is to the left of the staircase. I purse my lips and look around, nostalgia hitting me straight in the gut. Dust coats every surface and the smell of mothballs is overpowering, but it looks exactly how I last saw it, right before Nana died last year. Large black stone fireplace is in the center of the living room on the far left wall, with relevant couches squared around it. An ornate wooden coffee table sits in the middle, an empty vase atop the dark wood. Nana used to fill it with lilies, but now it only collects dust and bug carcasses. The walls are covered in black paisley wallpaper, offset by heavy golden curtains. One of my favorite parts is the large bay window at the front of the house, providing a beautiful view of the forest beyond Parsons Manor. The place right in front of it is a red velvet rocking chair with a matching stool, and I used to sit there and watch the rain, and she said her mother would always do the same. The checkering tiles extended into the kitchen with beautiful black stained cabinets and marble countertops. A massive island sits in the middle of with black bar stools lining one side. Grandpa and I used to sit there, watch Nana cook, enjoying her humming to herself as she whipped up delicious meals. Shaking away the memories, I rush over to a tall lamp by the rocking chair and flick on the light. I release a sigh of relief when a buttery soft glow emits from the light bulb. A few days ago, I'd called to get the utilities turned on in my name, but you can never be too sure when dealing with an old house. Then I walked over to the thermostat, the number causing another shiver to rack down my body. 62 goddamn degrees. I press my thumb into the up arrow and don't stop until the temperature is set to 74. I don't mind cooler temperatures, but I prefer if my nipples can cut through all my clothing. I turn back around and face a home that's both old and new, a home that's housed my heart since I could remember, even if my body left for a little while. Then I smile, basking in the gothic glory of Parsons Manor. It's how my great grandparents decorated the house, and the taste has passed down through the generations. Nana used to say that she liked it best when she was the brightest thing in the room. Despite that, she still had old people's taste. I mean, really, why do these white throubles have a border of lace around them and a weird embroidered bouquet of flowers in the middle? That's not cute. It's ugly. I sigh. Well, Nana, I came back, just like you wanted. I whisper to the dead air. Are you ready? My personal assistant asks from beside me. I glance over at Marietta, noting how she's absolutely holding out the mic to. What's the rest of the page?